Sarah was nervous about her first day working at a trendy startup. She'd prepared for weeks, memorized company facts, practiced her handshake. But here's the thing. She completely overlooked the most important part of workplace culture. The morning ritual. At 8:47 a.m., her boss casually asked, "Hey Sarah, fancy grabbing me a coffee?" Now, Sarah knew the word coffee. But what she didn't know was that in this office, how you respond to that question reveals everything about your personality. She replied, "Yes, I will take the coffee to grab you." The office went silent. Her boss's face dropped. What went wrong? Sarah used take instead of get. In everyday English, native speakers almost never say, "Take me a coffee." They say, "Grab me a coffee, get me a coffee, or pick up a coffee for me." She also missed the informal, friendly tone. The phrase, "fancy doing something," is extremely common in British and casual American English. It means, "Would you like to," in a relaxed, friendly way. But here's where it gets interesting. Sarah's robotic response made her sound like she was reading from a translation app, not actually understanding the social exchange. The boss wasn't just asking for caffeine. He was testing whether she could communicate naturally, warmly, like a real colleague. During lunch, Sarah's coworker Marcus noticed her sitting alone, looking stressed. He sat down and said, "You look a bit down. What's up?" This is another crucial phrase. What's up doesn't mean what is located above you. It's slang for what's wrong or how are you. Sarah explained the coffee situation. Marcus laughed and said, "Oh mate, don't worry about it. My first week, I totally messed up. I said I would bring the document to attend the meeting." Everyone burst out laughing. The key moment came when Marcus explained, "You just need to loosen up a bit. Learn how we actually talk here. We're pretty laid back." There it was. Two crucial phrases. Loosen up, meaning relax and be less formal. And laid back, meaning relaxed and easygoing. Marcus spent the next week teaching Sarah the real vocabulary of the office. Not just words, but phrases and expressions. When someone said, "Can you run this by me?" they didn't mean jog past them. They meant explain it. When someone said, "I'm swamped," they weren't literally underwater. They were extremely busy. "Let's circle back on this" meant, "Let's discuss this later." "That's low-hanging fruit" meant, "That's an easy solution." Sarah started keeping a notebook titled Real English, where she wrote down these authentic expressions with their meanings. She realized that textbooks had taught her individual words, but not the living, breathing language people actually used. She began participating more naturally in conversations. She started using, "Oh, I'll grab that report for you," and, "Yeah, let's touch base later." Her responses became warmer, more human. 3 weeks into the job, Sarah's boss approached her again. "Sarah, fancy grabbing us some coffee? We're about to have a team meeting." This time, Sarah smiled naturally and said, "Sure, I'll grab it. What do you all fancy?" "The usual?" Her boss's face lit up. She'd nailed it. Not just the vocabulary, the tone, the confidence, the belonging. Later, he pulled her aside and said, "I wanted to chat with you about something. I know your first week was a bit rocky, but you've really come a long way. You fit in really well now. I'm actually keen to have you stick around." Those 3 phrases, chat with you, come a long way, and keen to have you stick around. They told Sarah everything. She'd mastered not just vocabulary, but the ability to sound like a real person who belonged. Here's the surprising fact. Studies show that intermediate learners often know 3,000 to 5,000 words. But they freeze up in real conversations because they don't know the natural phrases people actually use. Sarah's story isn't unique. Thousands of learners have been in her position. The solution? Stop learning isolated words. Start learning phrases and expressions as units. When you learn, grab me a coffee, learn it as a complete thought, not 3 separate words. Notice how native speakers combine words. Create your own real English notebook. Pay attention to tone, not just grammar. And remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's connection. You're not trying to sound like a textbook. You're trying to sound like a human being who people want to have coffee with. That's what fluency really means.